Don't waste your money on an expensive Z790 board if you aren't buying basically anything other than the 13900K. Buy one of these instead. This is a B760 board. This specific one is the Asus TUF B760 plus Wi-Fi D4, but the majority of these new B760 boards are what you should be looking at. They are somewhat more limited, like you can't overclock the CPU and generally come with less I/O overall, but for 99% of gamers, you won't mind. In fact, the extra cash you save buying one of these can be used in a higher-end GPU, more storage, or even a higher-end CPU, netting much better performance overall. So what do you get with one of these boards? Well, you still get PCIe Gen 5. Admittedly, it is only to the top X16 slots where you'd plug your GPU into, which is generally less useful than to one of the M.2 slots, but being realistic, it's not going to be useful either way for another 3 to 5 years, so it's fine. Plus, it's not like you're lacking for M.2 slots either, with this board rocking a total of 3. One at the top directly connected to the CPU at Gen 4 speeds, then a further 2 connected via the chipset, also at Gen 4 speeds. Now that is likely to get bottlenecked if you're reading or writing to both drives at full Gen 4 speeds, but realistically the chances of that happening are slim to none, so again, it's fine. As for CPU support, these boards will work with any of the Alder Lake or Rocket Lake desktop chips. That includes the new lineup of the 65 watt and lower lock chips like the 13400, which actually now features 4 efficiency cores, albeit with an increased 154 watt maximum power draw to match its higher 4.6 GHz boost clock speed. Despite the added E-cores, those chips are still likely to be the ones to get, along with a board like this. If you did want to drop in something as power hungry as the 13900, well, these boards are still perfectly capable of running them at full speed. This TUF Plus board is using a 12+ one-phase VRM design, which is more than enough for even the 13900K. Although, of course, since this is the B-series chipset, it's only limited to its stock clock speeds, no overclocking. Still, you won't have any problems with any of these boards for their power delivery. You'll also be happy to know that these boards still support both DDR4 and DDR5. Or more specifically, you can buy DDR4 or DDR5 versions of B760 boards. This is a DDR4 board, which is great for someone who's looking to upgrade their existing system and cut costs by reusing the same RAM, whereas if you're building new, I think I would generally swing towards splashing out a touch more for a DDR5 board and RAM, as that means that you'll be able to carry forward to future upgrades that new RAM, instead of, trying to go with some DDR4, saving a few quid now, but then having to definitely replace it for a future upgrade. Now, you might be thinking, why not just get one of the older B660 boards instead, seeing as they also support both generations of Intel's hybrid CPUs and are likely to be a little bit cheaper anyway? Well, that is plenty true, and especially if you're opting for one of the cheaper 12th gen chips instead of the brand new 13th gen options, that's perfectly fine. In fact, that's probably what I would recommend. But, well, there actually isn't that much of a difference between the 600 and 700 series boards, so the only big detractor from a B660 board is that if you're using a 13th gen chip, well, that'll need a BIOS update to support the newer chips, which likely hasn't been done on the boards that are currently sitting on retailers' shelves. That can ruin your day when you finally get all of your parts in, you build it all up, only to find that you need to rip the motherboard back out and send it back to get it updated. The B760 boards won't have that problem at all, and like for like, the B660 version of the TUF Plus D4 board is only £10 less than the new B760 version. I mean, compare that to the £320 of the Z790 version, well, I mean, it just pales in comparison. One thing that is a little lacking on the B760 board is its I/O. You've only got 5 USB-A ports and 1 Type-C port on the back, although you do have both USB 3 and USB-C front panel header on the board, so I guess your case could take up a bit of the extra slack there. You do still get 2.5 gig Ethernet and Wi-Fi 6 built in here though, which is rather nice, alongside full 7.1 audio and SPDIF. If you do, I suppose if you compare that to a Z790 board, well, you'll find a few more ports on that one, alongside more internal connectivity too. Although on the B760 board, you do still get plenty of RGB headers, so I guess it's okay. But when it comes to the price difference, it's incredibly hard to ignore. £320 for the Z790 board, $210 for this B760, and while you do drop the overclocking support and a couple of ports here and there, realistically for £110 you can just outright not spend that, or spend it on a potentially full higher tier GPU or CPU, more RAM, more storage, or even a better monitor. That is a considerable amount of money to essentially waste on a feature that the vast majority of gamers never actually touch. So to wrap up, buy this and not that. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. But no, seriously, the B760 boards do represent a much better value proposition, and if you're building a new system, especially with one of the locked CPUs like the 13400, definitely give these a look instead, save you cash and get a better system overall. That's kind of it from me. If you have any questions, feel free to leave those in the comments down below. I'd love to know your thoughts on the B760 boards. The naming schemes are even confusing me, so I don't know how you're keeping up with things. If you want to check them out, I'll leave some global Amazon affiliate links to them in the description down below. Also, obviously the subscription button if you want to see more videos from me, and the bell notification icon. In fact, I'm planning on doing another video with the B760 board, looking at the sort of the anatomy of a motherboard, so make sure you stay tuned for that one. There's also plenty of other videos like this one, or CPU reviews, GPU reviews, laptops, monitors, all this sort of stuff already on the channel. So if you want to check those out, there's the end cards for you. And yeah, also if you want to support the channel, you can use YouTube memberships or become a patron, pick up a hoodie or t-shirt like this one, or there's a load of other affiliate links in the description that you can check out. Otherwise, thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed it, we'll see you on the next video.